Hello, welcome to The Culture with Farajii Muhammad. Do not adjust your screens. Yes, it is Lise Winnie in the driver's seat, filling in Farajii Muhammad, who is off for a couple of days, but he will be back. Today, we're going to be talking about, is Roe versus Wade, or the turning over Roe versus Wade, a victory for white life? And we're also going to be talking about, are Black women collateral damage in the student loan death crisis? All that and more after this. All right. So, as you may have known, that on the 24th of June, Roe versus Wade was repealed by the Supreme Court. And we are hearing different things coming out about how people really feel. Now, Trump went on a rally the other day taking credit for, one, putting three Supreme Court justices on the Supreme Court, therefore leading to the overture of the Roe versus Wade. Now, he did have Representative Mary Miller, who is a representative in Illinois, who said that Roe versus Wade, the repeal of it, is a victory for white life, which is a little jarring for most of us people in the country who aren't white. And it sounded a little bit off coming from an actual sitting representative. And today we're going to talk about that. And I have my friend, Mr. Royce the Voice, Royce Massengale. He is the host of Royce's Rant, who will be with us today, who will be discussing all of these topics and more. I want to bring Royce into this conversation to talk about exactly what's going on with Roe versus Wade. And is this really a victory for white life?
How you doing? How you
Hey,
doing?
Royce, how
What's
are
going on,
you?
friend? How you
Welcome
doing?
to the culture. I'm
Uh,
doing well. So,
thank
I
you.
wanted to talk to you. As you know, that we have had Roe versus Wade to protect us for nearly 50 years.
Right.
And because of the overture of Roe versus Wade, we're seeing states that as of June 24th, excuse
hmm
me, it is illegal to get an abortion. Is this a dog whistle for white women and white men trying to control their bodies?
Okay, so here we go. All right, so first I do want to address like I guess the media slip up or the accident on purpose or the on purpose on accident, statement that she made about white life. I'm trying my best not to look into that particular thing too deep because I've made mistakes when I'm reading from the paper because that wasn't coming from the head. She constantly was looking down at her script here, and sometimes you might get confused, white with life. But I don't think that's the real issue here. You know what I'm saying? Because when you think about it, when it comes to this Roe v. Wade, and we're talking about these abortions and making them illegal, there's a high percentage of black women that are getting these abortions at a higher percentage, and most of them are not for medical reasons or for any other lower percentage situations. A lot of these reasons that these women are getting these abortions, roughly close to 60%, is really just because, to me, I'm gonna add my opinion into it, irresponsible decisions when it comes to sex. I mean, just keeping it real. You're having sex, you're getting intimate, you know the consequences of sex. There's two things: you can get STDs or you can get pregnant. Anything else could happen. But a lot of people seem to leave out the irresponsible behavior due to pregnancy. And they say, I wasn't ready for it. It was unplanned. So I'm just going to kill the baby. Like, that's not fair to me. So, to be
So let
honest,
me
yeah, go ahead.
let me ask you this.
All right.
So just going back to the
Mm-hmm.
question, is this a victory? So the way that you're talking, you believe that this is in fact a victory for white life.
No, I don't think it's a victory for white life. I mean, it's a victory for black life too, because the black lives are killing the babies just as much.
So you are definitely pro life, is what you're saying.
I'm pro life. But see, at the same time, I'm pro choice too, because God gave us free will before any law of the land. So you have the right to do anything you want to, but you also have to accept the consequences that come with it. If I were to make a law to say, "Oh, we're making this illegal," that would be kind of tough. I don't know if I could do that because it's to me it's placing like a God stature in a way To each his own. But how I feel personally, like I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I could not.
I'm I'm gonna respect your
Yeah.
opinion, but as the only woman on the panel, I
Mm-hmm.
definitely have to make sure that we are being very, very clear about this.
Mm-hmm.
The Supreme Court is now coming in telling people what they can and cannot do with their bodies and their
Mm-hmm.
sexual health. And when we're looking at what Mary Miller said as a
Mm-hmm.
victory of white life, that sounds like something you would hear at a KKK rally. It sounds like something a grand wizard would say. Now, I think we have the quote from her people who are actually saying that this was an accident.
Mm-hmm.
This was a slip up. This was not intentional. Do we have that quote from her representatives? So here's what they're saying that she meant to say. They're saying to suggest that she is somehow not committed to defending all life is disgusting. She has the most pro life voting record in Congress and is the proud grandmother of two beautiful grandchildren with Down syndrome. Now, this doesn't make any sense to me, given the fact that this is talking about Down syndrome and
Mm-hmm.
disabilities and not necessarily her addressing her saying white life.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that this may be something that subliminally came out for her?
I mean, hey, maybe there was a glitch. Maybe we never really know. Like, let's deal with the obvious here. Like, something that we can really prove. What we can't prove is if she meant that or not. It could easily be narrated as, oh, that's a slip up. I meant to say right instead of white. I've said that before too, reading certain things. We don't know for sure, and I think that's the wrong focus though, because they say this giant leap for white life, right? Okay, we're saving the babies. But let's not forget that we're also saving black babies too. Like, we're leaving that black part out of it. Like, this could be a win for black women. You know what I'm saying? A win for our black children. Because I'm not an advocate for abortion. So of course, if they're passing this particular law and it's reducing the amount of abortions or to just to net it all, that's a win for me, especially for black women, because we need our black women, we need our black children. So
I hear that.
I
I
could I could
definitely hear that.
I could care less if she said if this is a victory for white life. Well, it's a victory for black life too, if that's the
I,
case.
I mean, I hear that if you are in fact not pro-choice and you are pro-life, but at the same time, you do not want a sitting representative with that type of mentality being on a puppy, because if she's saying that and it's an accident, it probably means she means it in her mind and it just so happened to
You
slip
see,
out. And some of the comments, I'm gonna go to the comments really quick.
hmm
We have Rashida Guess who said, "No, sorry, she did not make a mistake. She meant that, and I'm not surprised. That's how white people feel."
how do y'all
We
know?
also shout out to Donita Jackson. Thank you so much for checking in. And she says the irresponsibility aspect should be added for both men and for women, not just for women. I agree with that 100%, that it is not just women. Men are also out here making these babies.
We're true, but at the same time, let's keep it real. Like, nobody throws in men. They're like, whenever women's back is against the wall with some of this stuff, like, they always want to throw men in there. We know obviously it takes two to tango, but y'all say it's my body, my choice. It does take two to tango, but then it only takes one to make the decision. Come on now, come on, chat line.
But let's just be real. In a
Okay.
lot of these cases where there is choice,
Mm-hmm.
most men will leave that up to the woman. They want to take themselves out of the equation
Okay.
completely because they don't want the responsibility of dealing with something like that. Because that's a really big choice that you have to make. And I do
Okay.
also want to harp in on this. This is not something, a choice that is women are just taking willy-nilly. This is definitely a choice that women have to think about, and I think most women do. Speaking of which, kind of like going back to your comment a little bit, since you do believe in pro-life, and Thomas, this is another reason why Roe versus Wade, them repealing this, is concerning.
Mm-hmm.
Is this the beginning of a rollback? Clarence Thomas, the most senior judge, has stated that he is going to be looking into other things that the court has, decisions that have been made. So one of the things, stare decisis, which means stand by, which has been decided. He actually said that it's overrated. So a lot of the precedents that we've seen, he's starting to say that those precedents are wrong, and that's something that Mitch McConnell actually did say.
Okay.
So now this could be a repeal for gay rights and same-sex marriage, and then we're also looking at contraception and whether or not they again will step in because of Griswold, and will they overturn that? I don't know. Do you think that this is we're going down a slippery slope?
I'm it's that's kind of tough because I'm gonna give it to you as raw as possible because like I try not to be politically correct. So hopefully you guys can decipher this. You know what I mean? Um, I believe that first I believe that as women and as men, because I'm taking from the comments too, I do agree with what you're saying. We do have to hold ourselves accountable for the actions that we make first and foremost. Like let's forget about this law and stuff like that that's trying to be passed. All right, you make the decision. Women have access to sex. You make the decision on how sex is going to be. You remember back in the day, I think condoms were rampant back in the 90s. We had like little sex education and stuff. It was even in the rap songs. Um,
Hmm.
things were being preached about as far as safe sex, protecting yourself. You know what I'm saying? But now these days, it's like even within the music and just within commentary, I don't hear anybody talking about having safe sex or just even things to prevent having a child. Like I don't. When I say
Because
that,
Republicans didn't want us talking about it. Do you know all the pushback that TLC got for having condoms on their clothes?
hey, Republican or Democrat, like I really try to go as an independent thinker, like just common sense at the end
And
of the
you
day.
are, and you're
Common
liberty.
sense ain't common no more.
Are you a libertarian? I believe
I'm independent. I don't like
you're
them
in.
titles. It's
Okay.
if it makes sense on the right, then I go with it. If it makes sense on the left, then I go with it. It's all in what makes common sense. A lot of people just pick sides because and they may know that something may make common sense, but they want to stay on that side because they're trying to stay loyal to maybe some I ain't gonna say stupidity, but
Yeah,
um
let's stay away from that.
let's stay away from that because I know people are sensitive out here, you know what I'm saying? But I love y'all. But I try to stay independent if it makes sense. But going back to this particular subject, um, yes, I'm pro-life. Yes, I think that we all should hold ourselves accountable for the actions. We all know the consequences of having sex, unprotected sex. We know the two main things, STD or pregnancy. You know that there is a great chance that you'll get an STD. You know there's a great chance that you will get pregnant when you have unprotected sex. The man knows that too. But I also put most of the responsibility on the woman because they have access to that. They're the ones that can give themselves to a man. Okay. So all of a sudden now you're pregnant and now you don't want the child. But is that fair to the child? That's not fair. A lot of women like to bring up medical reasons or they want to talk about the R word. Um, and I do adhere to that. But that's a low percentage on a bigger scale, and really to kind of sum this statement up or whatever, I feel like most of the women are using these abortions as a form of birth control, and they don't want to take the responsibility or hold themselves accountable what the real reason is. There's an undertone here that people are not explaining.
Well, I'm not going to say that I agree with you because we don't agree on anything. But it is what it is. But what I will say is what you're saying makes no sense then,
Okay.
because what they're doing is it's going down a slippery slope of repealing a lot of these things that will give people access to contraception. That
Hmm.
is what Griswold was about. So now we're going down a path where they do not want you to get abortion. And I think most women do not use abortion as contraception, which seems to be the narrative out there,
That's
even though
not the narrative. That's
that
sixty
is
percent. What
that is not true.
are you trying to
And
say? Go ahead.
no, it's not true. Most women are not using this as a form of contraception. But if that is the case, and that is the stance that most conservatives are going on,
Okay.
why are we now talking about going after Griswold? So here's a quote.
Yeah.
So from an event in 2013, Clarence Thomas, somebody asked him about whether or not he would keep the rules in place from the court. And he says this, that it's not enough for him to keep him from going after the other decisions that have been made. So he is looking at these things to repeal them. That does not sound like a group of individuals who makes any sense. How can you say that abortion is not okay, but we want to go back and look at contraception? It makes no sense. At least there we have to agree.
So okay, let me say it like this. All right. Let me say it like this. Are you trying to say that if they're going to go with this particular law here, you trying to say that contraceptives shouldn't be available either?
No. It should.
Oh,
It
oh,
should.
okay. No,
They're trying
I
to
agree.
take that
I do
away.
agree. Lisa, I do
Okay.
agree with you. I
Okay.
agree.
I knew we would.
Yeah.
I knew we would get something. I
Bring
knew we would
out
get
the
something.
condoms. Bring out the condoms. Men, you need to be smart too.
I knew we would get something, but let me go back to some of the comments. We've had some
Okay.
other people check in. Thank you so much for tuning in. Wooly Frazier said he's asking about Mary Miller. Did she vote against babies getting formula or women getting maternity leave? Alfred Elliott is saying, but the white birth rate is low, and he's saying that that's what she meant to say. Just say in. Hi, thank you so much for tuning in. He's saying, you know, she meant it the same way you know you're in a room full of brown haters. And I don't, I kind of agree with you. I think she meant it and it came out and people said something about it, but I'm pretty sure that's what she meant, even if it was only in her own mind. Let's just say that. And we have Tyrone who checked in. Thank you so much, Tyrone. He's saying, there are not many who will voluntarily choose safe sex, especially men. I think that's a conversation to be had as well.
Tyrone.
Rashida, thank you so much, Rashida. And Rashida Guess is saying, this man is going to make me burn my dinner.
I'm so
I'm
sorry.
assuming she's
Don't burn that
talking
good dinner.
about
I bet it's good
Jill.
too. I bet it's
And
good.
Janelle Field is saying, dude is so lost, he might need a higher caliber of woman because the women I know do not use abortion as a form of contraception. Me either. Thank you so much. Me. I don't know anyone either that actually does that.
So
So
let
you
me ask.
really,
So I had to rebuttal that a little bit. You know, I still think there's a lot of emotional things going on here. Just to be, what are okay? So let me give me what I want people to tell me. What would be the main reason? A main reason for an abortion? Because I mean, you're fighting for that so hard. Is it just about control of your body, or is this about abortion? Like nobody's being real with that situation. There are we're acting like that women don't get abortions because they're not ready for the baby or they don't feel like they're suitable for it, like they don't hold it up for adoption or anything like that. They just kill them. They kill the child. Yeah, it is your body, your choice, but like you made the decision to have unprotected sex and now you're pregnant and you're trying to say I want an abortion. I'm just saying, you're trying to say that's not
I
one of the main reasons. Like what are the other higher percentage reasons to get an abortion? Because I've been through IVF too.
I will say this, that the majority is because the woman does not want to have a child at that point.
Boom.
I,
That's my
I
point.
will I will say that, but I will
That's all I'm
also say
saying.
that the majority of women are not out here using abortion as contraception because mentally, physically, it is not an easy thing to do.
What I'm
So I
saying is
don't
they're
want
doing that more than what they're doing that more for that reason than any other reason is what I'm saying. Like all the other reasons are at a low percentage. So even what you just said, your first answer was, I do agree. There are women out there who say, okay, they're doing it because they weren't ready. Well, why didn't you think about that before you had unprotected sex? That's what I'm really talking about. Nobody's admitting that.
and
Nobody's
I
admitting that.
agree that there are some people that can be irresponsible. I think the most people or most women that get abortions are not, but there are some people that can be
Mhm.
irresponsible. Now, what I will say is this. It is up to a woman in order to make that choice, and it should not be the government's choice to tell me whether or not this is
Okay.
what I can and cannot do with my body. And like I
I
said,
agree.
this also goes down to
Mhm.
this fact as well, that if you start to do this,
Mhm.
you start to tell people what they can and cannot do. Again, like I
Okay.
said, when you're looking at these cases that would or potentially could be overturned,
Mhm.
you have Griswold versus Connecticut, which
Mhm.
basically gave the Constitution of the United States protected the liberty of married couples to buy contraception. So, in the government at this point, before that time, could restrict that. And there actually was a law on the books that did just that. So
I'd
I
rather
think that
I'd rather
no,
women just say y'all don't like using condoms.
is it women though? Like, so if
Oh,
you
men
just
don't.
say,
Men don't either. I'm throwing men in there, but like it's just there. It's the emphasis right now is so much on women and my body, my choice. So I'm really trying to be
and
specific to
and
women.
see,
I
here's
understand for
another
men.
thing. Here's a comment that I'm seeing here. Protection is
Okay.
not 100. It's not 100% proof. Condoms do break.
You
There
are
are
right, but
things.
guess what?
There are things
Going
that
in with bare
happen.
skin is 100% chance of pregnancy. What odds are you choosing? If you had a choice, commentary to wear a condom or not, what has a better percentage of pregnancy not being pregnant? A condom or no condom? Common
So
sense,
you're
people.
hanging on to the 60%, but do we know how many of those individuals actually use protection?
use
Do
it's
we?
obvious. It's obvious to know who don't use protection when they get pregnant.
It's real. It's not though.
That's
It's
obvious.
not though. But we're getting down a rabbit hole. Let's
Somebody
bring it
poked a
back
hole
in.
in the condom.
Let's yeah. We're going
Okay,
down a rabbit
y'all.
hole.
All
So,
right.
do you feel like this is actually going to lead to other things? Since Clarence Thomas said now they are going to start to look at these other cases and decisions that have been made, and that
Mhm.
this does not protect you anymore. Like if decisions have been made and they're used as
Mhm.
precedent, it is not a protection anymore. And now they can go back and look at these other laws and these
Mhm.
other things that are on the books. Do you think that this is an opening?
I have to agree and say that there will be a nice little crack in the door for some things to start, opening up. I do agree with that at the end. I do agree with that. I really do. Um, but also at the same time, I want to hold us as people, the people who have the power of the people. We need to hold ourselves accountable and be responsible for some of these things, though. At the same time, all right, we can't allow the government
Responsible
to.
for gay marriage, because that's
Oh,
something
you
that's
want to talk about
also
gay
on the
marriage?
book. Yeah, this is what I
Yeah,
mean. These are
we
some of the
can.
things that are coming down the pipeway. They're going to maybe reversing Griswold versus Connecticut, Lawrence versus Texas, which basically gives
Hmm.
gay rights, or it makes it legal to be able to have same sex
Hmm.
partnered sexual encounters, and then Oberfeld versus Hodges, which
Hmm.
gives the right for legalized same sex marriage.
Hmm.
Are we walking down a pathway now that they can go back? The Supreme Court is looking at these other precedents.
There's gonna be a little crack, but I'm gonna tell you that they're not gonna touch the LGBTQ. They're not gonna mess with that. I don't. They're not gonna mess with that.
I don't
Look
know.
how
He
look how
already
look
said
how
it.
look how hard look how hard though. Look how hard they really tried. Look how hard they've been fighting just to get to where they're at now. You think really they're gonna just reverse all that too?
I honestly do. I think that this is something, because Clarence Thomas said it and he mentioned these by name, that
Hmm.
these are some of the precedents that they're going to go back and
It'll be
look
interesting to see.
into.
It'll be interesting to see. Like I'm looking forward to see the in this next year or two, like what's going to unfold from this particular situation. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Is this when this Roe v. Wade, is this a federalized thing or is it just up to each state? I thought it was up to each state.
This is federal. So if the
So
states
it's
decide,
federalized.
yeah, so this is federal protection. So basically,
Okay.
what Roe versus Wade, or what it did, was it gave the protections for all, for it to be legal in all states. So if you
Right.
had an abortion up until the 24th of June, you would
Mm-hmm.
still be protected.
Mm-hmm.
Now you are seeing, because it's not federally protected, the states are
Mm-hmm.
coming in saying that some states are saying it's okay here in certain
Mm-hmm.
circumstances, even in the military. What they're
Mm-hmm.
saying is they will still provide abortions
Mm-hmm.
for health reasons.
Mm-hmm. So
So that's
that
what it is.
got you.
So
So that
that's
narrows
why you
down to
can
one
still
thing for me.
cross state
Yeah.
lines. You can still cross state lines and get an
Yeah.
abortion. As of a
Yeah.
matter of fact, in some states, they're saying that in Idaho, Mississippi, North Dakota, Wyoming,
Uh-huh.
what they're saying is that it may be hard to find a doctor that actually would perform an abortion. And they're
Mm-hmm.
saying that it's best to cross state lines, even though it is still legal there to get an abortion in the case of
Mm-hmm.
rape and incest, but it would be hard to find a doctor to do that.
And I will say this, but for people that want to debate back and forth, listen. At the end of the day, who you voting for? It all comes down to your vote, all the way down to your state, to your local people. Who'd y'all put in office? You know what I'm saying? It's especially on the state. And we're talking about state, and we're talking about locally. Who did y'all put in office? Because this is where we are right now. Who'd you put in
It
office?
is. It is all about your state, but I think sometimes if you are born into, because most people don't move out of the
Mm-hmm.
states that they were
Yeah.
born into, and if you're born into a state that's a little bit more conservative and you just so happen to be a liberal, you might be in a really, really tight spot. But we could probably go on and talk about this all day. You know, me and you, we can go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But we are going to go on to another topic. We're going to hit a break here and then we're going to move on. Okay.
Yes,
But
ma'am.
yes, we will be back right after this.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way.
Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Stay black. I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
You dig?
Thank you so much for tuning into The Culture. I am Lise Winnie. I will be filling in for Farajii Muhammad. He's off for a couple of days. So now we're going to get into something that has been going on and circulating, whether or not student loans should actually be forgiven. One of the biggest narratives that I believe is missing from this conversation are Black women. We're hearing more and more people talking about the student loan debt crisis being a white issue or an affluent issue. But truth be told, there's a large group of people that is being completely ignored and has been seen as collateral damage in this whole debacle. And that is Black women. So we're going to look at whether or not Black women are actually collateral damage in the student loan debt crisis, as Black women actually hold the most amount of student debt. And the loan pause that happened actually didn't do enough to help curb some of the student loans that Black women have. Education research shows that Black women actually go to school in the highest subset of any other demographic, but carry the most amount of debt. And despite the fact that they are going to school, their wages are not adding up to how much education they actually have. So I want to bring back my culture crew for today, Mr. Royce Masson-Gill of Royce's Rant, to talk about whether or not Black women are collateral damage in the student debt crisis.
Oh, that title, it makes it so hard to answer right after that. Like, are Black women collateral damage? All right, well,
you know how I do that.
Oh gosh. All right, y'all. I hope my homegirl,
you already did it.
Okay with her food. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hope you didn't burn your food, so you might burn it some more. But when I heard that title, I was like, oh, but then I have to look at it like, okay, statistically, I'm just going to look at it like a mathematical equation. All right. If Black women have been going to college and getting extra education and getting extra degrees and doctorates and all that stuff like that, more than any other race or ethnicity, right? Then statistically, of course, there's going to be, a little more debt, you know what I mean, in them pockets. Like, because let's be real, everybody's not getting a full scholarship. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, even I went to college. I'm a proud member of the HBCU, Arkansas Pine Bluff. What's up to y'all? Root, Golden Lions. And, I'm in debt. You know what I'm saying? I'm even in debt there. And but first of all, let me first say this on a positive tip, so y'all won't think I'm this evil black man. All right. Shout out to
Okay.
all the black women out there getting educated and getting your doctorals. You deserve it. And you know what? I say run up that debt. That's just my opinion because they giving it to us and we getting educated. But something that I think Miss Lisa said about the amount of wages are not equaling up to the amount of education that our beautiful young sisters have been getting. And that is exactly right. The wages don't match the education, just like with this inflation here. Like, everything's going up but the wages. And I think they seriously need to do something about that. Statistically, yes, black women are going to college more than any other ethnicity. So just that title, that word, or it's almost like saying, are they a nuisance? Are they the problem? No, they're not the problem. They're just getting educated. And a lot of us can't pay full scholarship. We can't pay for a full education. So we do have to get loans. I had to get loans. Debt is inevitable when it comes to loans, especially for education. But what needs to change is of what I thought was definitely needed in some of our black schools. They're probably doing now because I'm long removed from college. I'm an old head. But, a lot of these job fairs and stuff that we have, at our schools, I don't know if these job fairs just to come in just to show off, or are they really trying to hire on the spot? Are they really focusing on the education that particular student has and then match it to where they can contribute in life? That's what I always thought college was about. We go into school for 4 years, we do the undergrad thing for a minute, and then we get into our major, you know what I'm saying? And so once we get specific with our major, I think there should be programs set up to recruit these young cats coming out of college. And we know everybody ain't going to make the draft. It's like the NFL, but like it just pushes people to be great. And that's why we got minors, or you can get into business for yourself. It's just, there needs to be something, we need to up these wages or whatnot, because this inflation is not matching anything. But black women continue to go to college, do your thing. And if they give y'all money, you take it and you just make sure you do good with it. Get the best education you can. They just need to fix the situation as soon as you exit. You shouldn't be in, that much of debt coming out of college if you got that education to get a job to pay to take care of that debt that you have, so
let's bring in this element. Okay. So black women are going to school more, and it's because there was this notion that if you go to school more, you would make more. And this is how we break the cycle of the wealth gap. They were really pushing, you're a millennial, I'm a millennial. They were really pushing college back then. That is what this was about.
That's true.
But here's a recent study that they've actually, some research shows that the median white adult who dropped out of high school has 70% more wealth than the median black adult with some college education. I think that's showing something, that the wealth gap, because they can afford to send their kids to school and black people cannot. So now you're already taking people who are disenfranchised and you're making them more disenfranchised. And black women just so happen to be going down this rabbit hole. So when I say that I believe black women are the collateral damage in the student loan debt crisis, I think it's a lot like the mortgage, the subprime mortgages. You gave this money out knowing that there's an intersection for black women of sexism and racism.
Yeah. And and since we're gonna stick on black women here, because I'm like, I was gonna bring the men in there to kind of help out, because it's like, hey, you giving this money, what do you expect us to do? Like, it's not realistic to think that we're gonna pay back 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, $100,000 just, you know what I mean? And all the other things they do, garnishing your checks. I done been through all that, y'all. Believe me, like, I ain't who y'all think I am. I done been through the lowest to the highest, from the debt, all that. I went through all those things. But you did mention something about as far as white people and the advantages that they have when it comes to education or just jobs, anything like that. One thing that my boy, I do like some of his points for Dr. Umar Johnson. He made a point of saying, he was speaking about 4-year colleges. He's like, is going to a 4-year college a waste of time? And he started bringing up points as far as we as black people need to learn a skill. Vocational school or a technical school to learn an actual skill, because when we're going to college for these years, I know half of those years, it feels like you're in high school again, because you're relearning the English 101 again, and then the math or the algebra and all that stuff. And then you get into your major, I think it's also a good idea to try some other options for black women and black men to develop a skill. Go to a technical school, go to a nursing school, something that you need 1 to 2 years to complete. Now you are a You're in less debt, to be honest. You're contributing to society, and you're getting paid a fairly decent wage, coming out of
Well,
those
that's
situations.
not even 100% true because, like, some of those vocational schools, they're for profit. What are the schools that the people ended up with debt and they couldn't pay off? These for profit schools and colleges. So, that's not 100% true either. I think that it is the cost of education. And I think at the end of the day, what we're not looking at is the wealth gap. And the reason why white people are able to send their children to school is because they have the money to do so. If you look at this country, the wealth gap shows, and this was in 2013, I'm pretty sure it's crazy now. The average white household made 13 times the wealth of Black people. How do you compete with that? And when it comes to hiring, in the highest earning jobs, Black women specifically, because of sexism and racism, don't get hired.
But you say how to compete with that?
Yeah, how do you compete with that?
Okay, if we're being realistic, all right, if we have to compete with something like that, why aren't we working for ourselves? It still goes back to a skill. Like I said, you
So
said the white people have
should start their own business.
I think everyone should try to have a skill. Like I know the 100% of people are just not going to be able to do these things or have a certain skill. Some people need to work for other people, but as far as
I agree.
yeah, but as far as the Black community here, we need to start investing in ourselves and into our own skill. What can we do? What is it that if somebody said, oh, where are our house builders? Where are our plumbers? Where are our electricians? You know what I'm saying? Like, where are those commodities that we need? You know what I'm saying? Where I want to feel comfortable to call up somebody in the Black community that can fix my electricity instead of, a white counterpart that may charge me a whole lot more just because, like, we're missing the point of educating ourselves, developing our own skills, spending less time in school. Like even in high school, like they're not even teaching those basic things that we need, like how to balance a checkbook, little stuff like that. We're just trying to go to these big colleges, get these big degrees, where there's nothing wrong with that. But we see that we're in major debt. And like, as you said, Ms. Lise, that, hey, the wages ain't matching this inflation that's going on. So, for anybody that has a business, anybody Black out there that's listening that has a business, how has that been for you? That's all I really have to say. I feel like that's the only way to compete is to develop a skill and work for ourselves and build our own businesses. We're counting too much on these 4-year colleges to give us this degree and expect we're going to get 100,000 right out the gate.
And I think that we should definitely start our own businesses. I think Black people should try to get into those other fields and start their own tech businesses, since it's not a lot of us that get hired in Google. There was just a big lawsuit that took place for Facebook and the discriminating practices that they have. But at the end of the day, I do think now that we are seeing an issue. Like, can you retro and go back to fix that? I don't know. We do have so many women now, especially Black women, that are in debt. So when I see this, I believe that they are in fact collateral damage in this student loan debt crisis. But let's hit some of the comments. CNAP, thank you so much for tuning in, says everything that's going up is also the cost of college. They jacked up the cost like crazy over the last 40 years. That's why student loans should be forgiven. I couldn't agree more. And also we have Real Brooklyn says student debt is only a problem if after you graduate, your job sucks and doesn't pay enough. And also some of these degrees that some of these kids are getting is straight BS. I actually don't disagree. I think that there's certain degrees that should not exist anymore. I agree with you.
General studies.
Thank you so much, Damon Blissett. Shouting you all the way out. College just costs too much. I agree with that. When you see the rates, it's ridiculous, the cost of college. And then we have Janelle Fields. Thank you again for tuning in. It says, ed credentials have never matched wages because this country has its priorities messed up. State college should be free. I agree 1,000%. Wall Street has never paid the same level that productivity demanded. I couldn't agree more. Damon also replied, we do not need to go back to learning a skill. Skilled laborers are retiring and there is a shortage.
Really?
Your pay wages are great in those fields. Now listen, this is the debate of W.E.B. Du Bois and George Washington Carver. We've been having these debates for forever. I agree that there should be a level of us that go to school and be educated. Being a doctor is definitely a skill, but it also takes education.
That's true.
We need Black doctors. We
of
need
course.
Black Americans. We
Of
need you to
course.
go to school, but we are
Hmm.
seeing less and less of those individuals, not just Black people, but in general, because it costs too much and
Hmm.
it takes too long.
Hmm. No,
Same thing with
Damon, I agree with you. I agree with you as just adding it to that. You know what I'm saying? Skills are very important. Honestly, real talk, because there's a lot of things that we call other people to do that we could possibly do for ourselves. You know,
yeah.
like what, Mr. Damon, what kind of skill do you have? And if you know, and you don't have to answer that now. I'm just saying, like, has it been beneficial for you? Have you had to reach out and call anybody and pay somebody out your pocket to do something that you know you should already know how to do in the first place? Like, skills, I think, are very important. Education is good too, but skill is an education. Like you have to learn the skill. But what I like about those 2-year colleges is they get straight to the point. Like, we're not going back to high school again to get these prerequisites. We're getting straight to the major, and we're
I
getting it
agree
done.
with you. I agree with you that there should be a level of the vocational school that is added into colleges and universities, because there is a large portion of it that is based off of education and just book learning. And there's something that you cannot learn in a book. Like, you definitely
Yes.
need to be touching it. And it doesn't necessarily mean you need to go out and everybody needs to be a plumber, and there's nothing wrong with these jobs and field.
Right.
We need them, but
Yeah.
everybody doesn't have to do that.
No,
So
they don't have to do it, but we being picky about. That's the problem, though. Some of us are like, yeah, shoot to the skies on what you want to be in life, but then let's be realistic on what you're capable of doing and educate yourself on that and do that to 100%. If everybody plays their part and what they can do, skill wise, education wise, man, we can put that together like Voltron, and we got a machine. Come on, man.
Right, but are you saying that Black women, if they would have gone out and gotten a skill instead of going to college, they would not be in as much debt as they are now? Is that what you're saying?
Mathematically saying, yeah. But I'm not dissing them going to school. I'm just saying, if we're looking at numbers and debt, it just makes sense to say, well, if I went to school for half the time, actually concentrating on that particular skill, I wouldn't have to pay much as debt, because that's just math.
I mean, like I said, there should be a percentage, especially if you go to school and you're not really sure if this school is for you and you felt like you had to go and it's not necessarily something you wanted to do, then yes. But I do agree that a lot of us, a majority of us, education is power. Knowledge is power. And so we need to be able to get that education. And listen, if you're listening to me, government, maybe reparations, maybe free college for Black people. Let's start there.
I'm so glad you didn't say money. Good job.
No. I honestly do believe that we should get things. I think that's
Resources.
Another conversation. We're not gonna go down that. We're not going down that path today, Royce. You're not taking me there today, Royce. Not today. But maybe another day. Not today. But I do agree that maybe that's where we should start. There's so many things that they could do with reparations. I think education, free education, when you look at this, 59%, not just Black people, but 59% of Americans believe that the pay gap is a direct result of bias in this country. So when you have 59% of Americans don't agree on anything. So the fact that you have 59% of Americans that believe that, it's telling you something. And we cannot close the gap without knowledge, education, and all of our skilled laborers as well. We need everyone in order to do that. But unfortunately, in this situation, Black women are the ones that have taken the brunt. We listened to what we were supposed to do and what would help get our communities out of where it is and where it would help us. And it ended up backfiring, and which is unfortunate, because that's typically what happens. But I want to hit some of these comments before we move on. We have Mike V, who says we don't control an industry, and thus we can't hire our own people to provide a living wage necessary to pay off the debt they accrued, which I agree. Tyrone again says those are the people who work for themselves and hire people like themselves. That's where us as brothers and sisters are lacking in supporting each other. Elder Fidos Brown says, I hear what you are saying, but if everyone has their own business, who would do the work at the business, Royce?
I wasn't saying everybody should have their own. I know look, if everybody had their own business, ain't nobody work. Like, y'all have to remember what I said. I said, some people need to work for other people. Yeah, y'all missed that clip, y'all. But I do agree with you though. Like, everybody can't be a boss. You know what I'm saying? But like, there are people out there who maybe desire to just be a worker. You know, they're out there. You know what I'm saying? It's an order of operation that's really unspoken. People apply for jobs every day. You know what I'm saying? They're not applying to be a boss. They're applying to get a job. So yeah, I feel what you're saying, my guy.
Yeah, and I want to hit this one. Real Brooklyn says college is a choice, credit card debt is a choice, car payment is a choice, mortgage payment is a choice. What's the problem here? So
We live
here's
down the
what
street.
here's
Here's
what I'm
with it, baby.
saying. Yes, everything is a choice, but at the end of the day, you need an educated workforce. You need an educated nation in order to thrive. Without it, we would be so far behind. So you're asking people in order to get these education, in order to make sure that this nation continues to stay great. In order to do that, they need to go to school. You're asking people to acquire this debt that's coming from the federal government with interest, and you're giving some of these loans out to 17-year-olds. You're making these choices at 17.
Yep.
And you're carrying this debt for your entire life. So that's what I'm saying. Yes, 17. The decision. What good decision did you make at 17?
Shoot, when they gave me a $75 credit card, or when they put a little money on, I thought I was rich. I'm like, you gave this to me? $75? Oh, we balling out, Red Lobster. You know what I mean? Y'all shouldn't have gave us money.
Right, but that also brings in a point that at that point, a lot of African Americans have never seen that much money. Most banking, and this is another thing that I think we need to look at. Most banking institutions will not give Black people a business loan for that amount. They will not give Black people a housing loan for that amount, but you will give them that amount of money to go to school at the age of 17 and 18 years old without any understanding of what they will be making 20 years, 10 years from now. If that doesn't sound like an issue, I don't know what is.
I don't know either. I'm about these
people to go to school.
I'm about to change my ethnicity to white. Maybe that'll work because everything else is wearing. Everybody else can change in anything. I'm about to be white.
Roy, stop. You know what? And I don't think that would go too well for you. But I mean, try it. Try it. Call me.
Just a little.
I'm gonna stay where.
Okay.
I'm gonna stay where I'm at, but I was like, try it, call me and tell me how that turns out for you. But Real Brooklyn responded, he said, why should anyone bail out someone who took on a responsibility that you promised to pay back? And here's the thing. I agree with you, and I do not think that the American people in public, because only 13% of people actually go to college. I do not think the majority or the vast majority of people should pay for Black women or whomever went to college. But I do think that they should make it easier. If a woman gets into problems, they should be able to go and file bankruptcy. There's a repercussion for doing that, but it is almost impossible. It is damn near impossible to file bankruptcy on student loans.
Yeah, and Real Brooklyn, when you said about anyone bail, I mean, think about it, man. During that recession back in the early 2000s and mid 2000s, like you remember when AIG got all them billions of dollars, all these other insurance companies and stuff, they got bailed out. So why can't we're trying to get an education, trying to contribute to the American economy, and you're trying to say you can't give us just one little, hey man, clear a little something out for us. We're trying to help out. We are America. We're the one that's making the money for America to keep America running. You trying to say that we don't need to be bailed out? Give us some breathing room. We're giving billions to Ukraine, but you can't let us off the rope for educating ourselves to make a better America. Stop it. Brooklyn's
true, and Mike Green said that. He said if they can send Ukraine $5 billion, they can give student debt relief. And what of all the people that went through years of hell to pay that debt? So I honestly think that if you have someone who went through years and years in order to pay back the student loan debt, I think that there should be a tax credit or something that the federal government should do. But really what I'm saying more so than anything is that they should give you options to get around, like not necessarily around the loan, but things like bankruptcy, things like student loan forgiveness for those lower paying workforces. So like social work, you have to go to school to be a social worker. You have to get a master's degree. And some of them don't make a whole lot of money. Same thing with teaching. You have to go to school and get a master's degree, become a teacher. And some teachers don't make a ton of money. And you need these professions. So there has to be something to help those people. Like student loan forgiveness programs is good. Helping people file bankruptcy is good. Making sure that the interest rate is not more than the loan is good. All of those types of things need to happen. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But if you're listening out there, there's so many different things that we can do. Yes, Black women, listen, we hear you. I'm one of you. I hear you. We do need to make sure that we are protecting everybody in the student loan crisis, because it is going to be a bubble, I believe, in the next couple of years if we do not do something about it now. So, you know what? We will come back and we're going to actually be talking or switching gears. I think this is something that you maybe can contribute to as well, Royce, about boundaries and setting boundaries and making sure that we set boundaries for children earlier on in life. And we'll be back and we'll actually be talking to a licensed, I was just talking about social work. We'll actually be talking to a social worker who is also a therapist. That is Miss Terry Johnson. She is a licensed clinical social worker, and she will be telling us about her brand new book, as well as telling us about how we can set boundaries early on in life for children that can help them not only while they are young, but also while they are older. So we're going to hit a break and we will be back right after this.
iPhone 13 on us for every customer. Current, new, everyone. To show the love.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
How about sushi?
I just had sushi for lunch yesterday.
How about tacos?
Automatic emergency braking, one of 6 advanced safety features standard on every 2022 Chevy Equinox. Find new technology. Find new roads. Chevrolet.
All right, I am Lise Winnie filling in for Farajii Muhammad. And for now, we're actually going to talk about something that impacts a lot of people, and it is a very sensitive subject. 1 in 5 girls and 1 in 20 boys is actually victim of sexual abuse in this country. 20% of adult females and 5 to 10% of adult males also recall have been being abused in this society. And the ages typically are between 12 and 17. And this is 16 out of every 1,000 children. So we have a startling issue in this country and all over the world with children being abused. One person who's actually trying to help with children to understand that setting boundaries early not only protects children from violence and abuse, but also sets boundaries for them as adults, making it easier for them to say no, which is a very, very powerful word. So I want to welcome to the culture Miss Terry Johnson. She's a licensed clinical social worker. She is the author of Body Safety Zones, and she is traveling all over the world to make sure that she is giving out this information. So I want to bring in Miss Terry Johnson today. How are you doing today, Miss Johnson?
I'm well. How are you?
Wait, I think you might be muted. No? All right, I think we're having some. some technical issues. Say hello.
Hello.
We'll try to figure out exactly what's going on. Oh, I can't hear her on my end, but everybody else is saying that they can hear her on their end. Hello?
Hi.
Yeah, I cannot hear her at all. All right, we're having some technical issues. Give me 1 second. We're gonna go to a quick break and we'll be right back.
Don't you think it's time to get wealthy? I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show on the Black Star Network focuses on the things your financial advisor or bank isn't telling you. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for a Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Verizon just gave us all a brand new iPhone 13.
We've been customers for years.
We got iPhone 13s too. Switched 2 minutes ago, literally right before this.
iPhone 13 on us on any unlimited plan for every customer, with plans starting at just $35. All on the network more people rely on.
Love our new Alexa.
It's a Buick.
Yeah, Alexa.
Buick.
Alexa.
It's a Buick.
It's an Alexa.
It's a Buick.
It's an Alexa.
Coach, that's a Buick.
That's an Alexa.
The Buick Enclave with available Alexa built-in.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all. All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Okay, we're going to try this again. I hope you guys can hear me. Are we good?
Yes.
All right. So we're going to try this one more time. You know, I love live. I love live everything. Thank you so much, Miss Terry Johnson. How are you doing today?
I'm well.
Okay, I'm so glad that you're here. Yes, so this is a very serious issue for those of you who are just tuning in. We are going to be talking about setting boundaries for children earlier in life and how this can help not only protect them as children, but also help them as they age. So, Terry is a licensed clinical social worker. She's also the author of a book called Body Safety Zones, and she's been traveling all over the country giving out great information. So, tell us a little bit about what are body safety zones.
So body safety zones are areas on the body that only the child can give permission to touch, and that's or not to touch, I should say. It goes beyond the bathing suit. You know, there are, for years now, there's been something where people say, well, people cannot touch you where your bathing suit covers. But there's another part of your body that actually people use to abuse children of their own, or they have the child to use on them. So that's, basically you have to buy the book to find out all of the different details. But what I'm teaching them is that their body belongs to them. It's their body. They're able to actually determine who touches them and if they want to be touched, period. And that goes to what we're going to talk about today in terms of boundaries, them setting those boundaries, and parents and other caretakers of children respecting those boundaries and not seeing it as, well, you're a child and you don't tell me that I can't hug you or that I can't kiss you. They should have every right to do that, because what happens is that not every adult is safe. Not every older sibling is safe. So unfortunately, it's something that's necessary to teach our babies. And I believe in teaching them. When you start naming the different body parts, that's when you start teaching them about their body safety zones, and you give them the proper name for those body parts.
Okay. I certainly understand that because it's easier to be able to, for a child to explain if something is going wrong, if they can actually identify the body parts by what they are.
Right.
Now, I also want to ask you, what should we know as parents to prepare our children, and where should we start? Like, is there too soon? Is there too like an age where it's like that's too soon to start talking about this?
So I think I have respect for people's comfortability. That's the first place where you start. You have to be comfortable with it. A lot of parents or caretakers that I deal with, they have a history of abuse themselves. So it's very difficult. And that's one of the reasons why my book is a tool to kind of start that conversation with my own children and with the children that I cared for coming along. I started it when they were babies. When I started saying eyes, ears, and nose and mouth, I named the other areas as well, and I gave them the proper name. I didn't call it your goody goody, your willy, your different things like that. I gave them the proper name for those body parts. But I do understand, and that's why I call them zones, because it's not for me to name that for the children. This is something that I feel is a parent's responsibility, and it has to be done when they're comfortable. I'm just trying to provide a tool to help them.
Okay, I certainly understand that. And body autonomy is important. But one of the things that happens in families, and I think that sometimes we as parents unknowingly teach children that it's okay for people to touch you. Because if grandma comes, it's like, oh, go give your grandma a kiss, give uncle so and so a hug.
Right.
You actually say that that's not something we should be doing as parents. Is that right?
Right. The reason why is because it's nothing that you're doing. I try to not tell parents what they should and should not do, because people get very defensive, and that's not what you're not going to hear someone if you're defensive. What I suggest is you not do that, because what that does is that kind of opens up that certain people, it's okay for them to touch you if they want to, even when you don't.
Oh,
you see, and so that's exactly why it's suggested not to do that. It could be that they're just being, sassy or, like, I know that I don't have to, so I'm going to do it. But the point is that you don't want to start that being the norm, because everyone is not safe, even in our families.
That is very, very true.
Yeah. So you just had that conversation. I remember with my mother, two things that was a bone of contention. One was that, and the other thing is that she didn't like that I allowed my daughter, for instance, to touch herself. She just thought that was very weird. She thought that it was, just really weird and very bizarre. And I told her, I said, and so who was supposed to actually be able to touch her then? Because we're sexual beings. I mean, I have a sonogram of my son in utero, and the reason why we knew he was a boy because it was sticking straight up. We're sexual beings,
Okay.
So I think that education age appropriately can start at the very beginning. I started naming her body safety zones in the hospital when I had her. I named every part of her body, and that was a part of it. And she's now 23 years old, and she can speak for herself with what that, what impact that had for her. But she's been safe, thank God. And children experiment and things like that, but thank God no adult or no one older child has taken advantage of either one of my children, because they were educated. And that's all I'm trying to do is empower children with awareness and knowledge through education.
Okay, I understand that. And you've been going to different school systems. I believe you said in Florida, you've been down to Florida to try to get this book in schools. Yes. In your expert opinion, do you think that this is something that schools should be teaching, or at least making the school aware of these things?
Absolutely. I think that some schools, like for instance, my book has been accepted as a part of the curriculum in the Columbia District schools down in Florida. And I haven't yet gotten it here in any school district in Maryland. But there is something now that's called the Aaron Law. And I think it's been in Maryland for maybe about since 2013, 2014, where we are supposed to have some type of curriculum that goes over this information in some kind of way. As far as I know, Maryland does not have as a whole a set curriculum. I think they leave it up to the districts, but I work in Baltimore school districts, and this is not something that they have. I reached out to PG County. It's not something that they have. I reached out to other school districts, and I'll continue to do so. Because it's something that needs to be in the school. And I'm not saying by any means just my book. I'm saying this subject matter is important. Our children are important. They're worth us fighting for. And this information cannot be shut down or shut out because of other people's fear. What do you prefer? When we first met, we had a great conversation. And one of the things that I brought up is this is about prevention. You don't wait for your child to burn their hand before you say, well, some people do, but that's a consequence usually. But you don't just not teach the child about fire and that it hurts and then let them burn their hand, or allow a child to walk out in the street and then maybe get hit by a car before you teach them about safety with cars and crossing the street. You provide prevention. That's all that this is. It's just a different subject matter.
Yeah, I certainly understand that. And I agree with you. I think that we do as parents, sometimes we can't, because maybe we've also been abused, or we don't understand how to approach this with our children. So we shy away from it. Yeah. But how important is teaching our children the word no? How important is that word?
Oh my goodness. That is the most powerful for a child. And these days, everything that they have exposure to and not have the experience or knowledge to understand, no is an extremely powerful word. I don't think so. And when they say no, say it with some in their voice. You know what I mean? Get it, bring it down from your toes. That's one of the things that I teach my babies that I teach in the class. I tell them that they have to have a stern face. And they have to say, and we practice it. I do it first, and then I have them to demonstrate it, because children learn through imitating us, not through intimidation. So I model for them what it is how they need to say it, their body, not just their facial expression, but their body language, their stance, and then how they say it out of their voice. And some of the kids think it's silly, so they smile. And I say, no, this is very serious. It's important for us to practice how you say something. And then I talk with them about who are their safety people, who are the people that they can go to and tell. And if they don't have anyone, then we go over some people that's in the community that they can go and tell. And you keep on telling until someone listens.
Yes, yes. And also that word no and teaching them as a child can actually run over into adulthood in being able to say no, especially when women, because in college campuses, unfortunately, women are sexually assaulted at much high rates, and being able to say, no, I don't want to do this. So you are definitely doing amazing things. But I wanted to also ask you about social media. This is something you also mention in your book, and you talk about social media because now, I don't know if parents realize it, but sex and social media go hand in hand.
Yes, ma'am.
So explain to us about how we should talk to our kids about social media and what to do and what not to do.
So first of all, I think, I mean, my kids thought that I was so old fashioned, but I don't think that children in elementary school, and I really like to say in middle school, should even have social media. But if that's something that you're comfortable with, then it should be heavily monitored by the parent. Heavily monitored by the parent. And it should have you should have any type of I'm having a brain fart here. Any type of like parental restrictions and things like that on it, and that you have access to it. If all of a sudden you can't get into their account, then you have to shut it down, because that's something that you need to know what they're looking at and how they're looking at it. And I mean, they're slick, you know what I mean? They go and create other accounts and all of that. But parents that are present and parents that are involved, you always wind up finding out. Know who your children are conversing with on social media. If you have access to that account, that means you can go in, and when people are sliding into DMs, you can slide right on back into theirs. What are you talking to my child about? This doesn't seem like it's a proper conversation for you to be having, with my child. If you go on to Missing and Exploited Children, their website, you can find all types of organizations that have different things. I'm not social media savvy, and my kids got over on me a little bit, but I was always able to find out, even my non-technologically, aware self. I was always able to find out stuff. They got away with stuff for so long, but it wasn't long enough for anything to happen, thank God. So, making sure that you have a shared account with them, checking it periodically, have social media be a part of the conversation. When you're around the dinner table or y'all in a car leaving from school, talk to them. What's up on what's up in the social media world today, or your social media world today? What's going on? They feel that that's something that you're interested in talking with them about. You can find out all types of information, because they'll just mindlessly talk to you about it, and you'll be able to pick up some things like, oh, okay, and find out about their friends and what some of their friends may be doing as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So social media is like the key. It's everything that we need to know. And now that the internet has become a part of everything that we do, we all are on there and sharing so much information. So it's absolutely key for parents to know what their children are doing. But also, how can people get your book? Like, if people are interested and they want to be able to, better explain this to their children, how can they get your book and where can they contact you?
Okay, I'm on Etsy. I have an Etsy shop, and I'm on Amazon as well. But I just like to give this little caveat that I use the funds from this book, proceeds from the book, to actually be able to give books to children in shelters, homeless and domestic violence shelters, because they're at the greatest risk of being exploited. So I sell it on Etsy, so I can get, be able to get the funds that I don't get from Amazon. But I'm at Etsy, www.etsy.com/shop/persistence is the way. And I'm also on social media and on IG as Persistence is the Way, Facebook Persistence T like Terry 1, and Twitter Persistence is T like Terry 1.
Awesome. Well, we thank you so much for doing the great work. I know you were in Africa as well, giving this information out. You've been traveling all over, making sure that parents everywhere and children understand how to keep themselves safe. So I appreciate you, everything you do. And when you come out with a brand new book, we will definitely love to have you back.
All right. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for coming.
All right.
All right. So when we come back, we are going to be talking about why voters are resonating with women candidates over male candidates. And this seems to be a trend, not only with the Democrats, but also with the Republicans. So we will definitely be talking about this after this.
Verizon just gave us all a brand new iPhone 13.
We've been customers for years.
We got iPhone 13s too. Switched 2 minutes ago, literally right before this.
iPhone 13 on us on any unlimited plan for every customer, with plans starting at just $35. All on the network more people rely on.
Love our new Alexa.
It's a Buick.
Yeah, Alexa.
Buick.
Alexa.
It's a Buick.
It's an Alexa.
It's a Buick.
It's an Alexa.
Coach, that's a Buick.
That's an Alexa.
The Buick Enclave with available Alexa built in.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
I love y'all. All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, welcome to The Culture with Farajii Muhammad. I am Lise Winnie, filling in for Farajii. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about why voters are resonating with women. But before we do that, I actually am also going to talk about the economy. So right now, the economy with high inflation, we're seeing 40 years highs, and people are concerned about whether or not they're going to be able to put food in their tables and gas in their car. We are looking at more and more polls that are showing that inflation and the economy is the number one issue that all Americans, Democrat and Republican, Black and white, are talking about these days. I'm going to bring back my culture crew member, Mr. Royce from Royce's Rant podcast, to discuss whether or not we are in trouble or the Democrats are in trouble when it comes to the economy.
Oh, man. Go ahead.
Do you think that the Democrats are in trouble when it comes to the economy, given the fact that we're seeing inflation, gas prices are high, and that this is really their number one issue that they need to combat?
I think historically Democrats have been an economic problem. That's just being real. A lot of times when they're the majority, they're in the office, they're always wanting money. We need more money for this. We need more money for that. But we never know where any of that money goes. There's always some type of debt situation when we're involved with, mainly Democrats. It always seems to be a problem. So I would say, yes, I believe this is a Democratic issue. I noticed somebody mentioned in the comments, we were talking about sending money over there to Ukraine and those wars and stuff like that. Biden is continuously asking, we need more money for this, more money for that. I'm gonna, if I had to place a blame, it's about the only time I would really just be like, it's the Democrats' fault. I believe it is the Democrats' fault. They spend more money than any party historically.
Well, that's not actually true. Trump actually spent more money than any United States president, so we can't necessarily say that that's
But
true.
when you say spend, when you say spend, what do you mean? Spend on what?
Spend on he spent a lot of money on the border wall, which was absolutely unnecessary. The first stimulus checks came from Trump. So when you're talking about a lot of this spending, a lot of it was also spent in defense and stuff is spent from Trump. Oh wow, I'm hearing a lot of background noise. There we go. I was like, I'm hearing a lot of background noise. But a lot of this stuff comes from Trump. So we can't say that it's all the Democrats, but when we're looking at the midterm elections, here's what we're seeing. We're seeing that typically it turns out bad for whoever is sitting in power or the majority, most of which just so happens to be Democrats at this point. But it mostly is Democrats that are going to be in trouble because they're already sitting and they have to defend what's going on. So anytime you're the incumbent, you're going to have some issues, but we can't say that it's the Democrats, because when you go back and you look at Bush, you look at, we're talking about W, this is something that Republicans do. Republicans typically spend up the bill and then Democrats have to deal with it.
So I guess what would be the reason of being called a conservative? Is being called a conservative a contradiction then? Are we trying to say that being a conservative means spending more money than what the Democrats do? Is that, I mean, basically if you're saying conservatives have been spending more money, that's kind of a contradiction of their title, right?
Yeah. I think that conservative means more so, I think it's more religious. When they're talking about conservative, I think they're talking about religion. So I am conservative in this value as opposed to conservative in money, because they do typically spend more.
Well, I take when I hear the word conservative, like, I mean, I know some people may see it as something just religious, but like when I see conservative, like that word, I'm looking at, hey, in general, it should mean that you're a little cautious about how much time you spend or money on something. Like, is this really beneficial? Like the money, you know how our mamas and daddies used to be when we were young, we wanted something to eat and they'll be like, I want McDonald's, and mama be like, no, we got McDonald's at the house.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's being conservative. You know what I mean? But it's a tough question. I mean, because we can go back and forth on who spent more money. I just know that right now you can also say, all right, Democrats are in office, or they're taking up for what had been done prior to that. So it would make sense for them to ask for more money to take care of this particular situation.
Well, you had a pandemic though, like, so you had a national crisis that took global, not even just national, global crisis that took place. So the Democrats did have to do something in order to make sure that the party, or the country rather, is still afloat.
Yeah,
that's
get a little shots.
The stimulus came in. Now, I know that there are some economists that are saying that second wave of stimulus under Biden actually caused an overabundance of money, therefore driving up demand. Whether or not you believe that, the truth is in that right now people are feeling it. The economy hurts. It's hurting a lot of people. A Gallup poll shows that 42% of Americans said the economy right now is in poor condition, and 76% of Americans believe that it's getting worse. Do you think that Americans will kind of change their tone, or what do you think would change their tone right now?
You know, I was actually going to answer the question with a question to you at the same time, but let me ask this. Before I answer that question, I was going to ask you this. Do you think Democrats, or whom we have in the office, the majority, do you feel that they are the cause of these gas prices?
I think that it's a combination of the pandemic, Ukraine. That's what I believe. That's me.
Does that have anything to do with Republicans?
Not necessarily. Now, there were things that Trump could have done back in 2017 with Ukraine, and he decided not to do it. But this is something that is inevitable. The pandemic, no one could have predicted the pandemic. Now, we could have done something sooner had we had an administration that was a little bit more vigilant and actually took it seriously, therefore probably not putting us in a bigger hole.
Okay. Okay. I mean, see, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to stay on the subject because I can veer from that. I say, ooh, that extra money, but I'll say it like this. It's kind as much as I want to play the blame game, like it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to see, who to blame in situations like this. All right now we're seeing here is the outcome of these situations, and there's not really there's not a lot of things being answered. Like, okay, while we have a Democratic president in office and his cabinet, a question would be, because I see a lot of people supporting this, why are we sending all that money to Ukraine? What would be the reason? What's the reason behind all of that? How is that aiding them in something that I feel that Ukraine can't win?
Yeah, and I hear that a lot of people are concerned that this is a winless war. It wouldn't be the first time the United States has gone into a winless war. We've seen that with all Afghanistan and other things where they get into wars and there's not really any out for it. Technically, we don't have any boots on the ground. So let's correct that. We are not at war. We are just supplying or aiding a country that America does have benefit from.
And if we're taking on that State of the Union that he had a few months
we
ago,
do have benefit from it.
Did he not say that Ukraine had I want to say donate? They was about over 100 million, if I'm correct. Isn't there some land that they're building over there in the middle of America that they're trying to do this technological thing? But Ukraine had donated or offered. I don't know how to say it.
I cannot verify this, so
you have to go back. It's on the State of the Union. He literally said that they were clapping for it. He looked over to the Ukrainian government, the ambassador, and they had okayed $100 billion sent to the U.S. I need everybody to look that up, so I won't even explain why they did it. Y'all do that research. But my thing, if we're talking about right now, we're saying, are the Democrats in trouble? You know what I'm saying? Are they want to blame it at this moment? Yeah, there's a lot of money that they're spending and they're sending to other areas when they're not really focused on some of the problems here in America. I mean, let's not talk about like the homeless situation now. And I keep seeing my man, Real Brooklyn make some valid points. You know what I'm saying? I can tell you kind of conservative on the way. I feel you on a lot of that stuff. You know what I mean? But like, we are wasting money on other countries that don't give a D about us at all. We're the laughing stock of the world, especially these last 3 years, as you looked on everything that's going on. And so we know the issues here in America. That inflation, we know these, oh gosh, let's not talk about these houses and real estates and the inflation with that, these gas prices and stuff. Like, we're constantly spending more money, our money, our taxes, whatever they're getting from us, and they're sending it over there, overseas.
Now, I will say this. So what we can't do is say that the inflation is solely on Ukraine. This is
no. I'm not saying the inflation's on Ukraine. I'm saying while we're in this inflation, while we're in this problem that we have in America, we're sending the money that we need over to them.
Right. And they produce a lot of the grain all around the world. They also produce a lot of other things that people need. So there is a need to make sure that they are protected.
Oh man, that's messed up. America provides so much ourselves too. Like I think that's a crap of bull, man. No, I don't care if the Ukraine provides grain. They don't provide grain for 90% of the world. Like, let's just be real. Like, there are a lot of things that America can produce for themselves, and we can start with the gas.
I get it, America First voice, but let's look at it from the standpoint of what we are. I do not agree that we're necessarily the laughing stock of the world. I think that America.
You don't think they're laughing at us, especially after January 6th?
Well, I mean, that's
just one. I mean, there's so many other things that they can laugh at us about.
That was just a humiliation on everyone's part, especially if you are an American. But I will say this, that when it comes to the economy, like bringing it back home to the economy, inflation is a lot of things. And inflation also has to deal with companies raising their prices because they can. So when we're seeing like the gasoline industry making record prices, like it's not like they're losing money, they're just raising the prices because they can. And we're looking at the top problems according to a Pew Research poll for Americans. Inflation is number one, healthcare is number two, violent crime is number three, and gun violence is number four. I will agree with you on this, that I think Democrats are in trouble because they're not necessarily talking to the points that Americans want to hear. I think that more people want to hear from the Democrats that, hey, we know that this is bad. things are not going well right now, but here's what we're going to do. Now, I will say on the other side, Republicans aren't offering anything. It's just like, oh, we're not the Democrats. Look at them. They actually don't have any substantive solution for inflation. So when you're looking at that with Democrats, how, and I know you're not one, but if you were to advise, what would you say to them in order to make sure that they are able to speak to the American public who is feeling the gas, they're feeling food prices, and they're feeling housing?
All right. I would say this first. Like I said, I'm not gonna be politically correct, y'all. You feel what I'm saying? First we need our president or any representative from the Democrat side. We need y'all to speak to us like some regular 9 to 5 people after work. You know, when you get off of work, sometimes you just want to chill. You got your feet propped up, and everybody talking their ish, right? You need to talk to us first like some Americans and let us know really what the heck is going on. We need to be transparent and tell us what the problem is. When I heard you talk about that list, I think it was like the top 4 thing. I think it's not funny, but it's kind of ironic how inflation is number 1 over violence. You know what I mean? It's kind of interesting when you think about it like that. Yeah, think about that for a minute. But I would want our Democrats. We don't have time for lies. We don't have time for no everything's going to be all right. We're working on this at the moment. No, Americans need to be scared right now. That's the only way that's going to change this whole paradigm. Tell us the truth. The truth hurts. The truth can be scary, but once we know what's going on, if you're being transparent about what's happening in America and you get the people in tune with that, that's when I think we'll start seeing the changes, because once again, the power is in the people. And I think knowledge is also power. So when you limit the knowledge of what's going on in America, the people are defensive. And that's why we got all this going on right now. All these opinions and stuff is going on. Even myself, you know what I mean? None of us really fully have the answer to what's going on, because they're not really being transparent on what's popping. So like, first I would say, be real with what's happening. There's a lot of people that don't understand that political lingo and all those terminologies and stuff, and we end up lost, right? And then that leaves room for other people to have their opinions on certain terminologies, and then we're all confused. We need our president, we need our cabinet to be transparent and real. We're Americans, we can take it. We done been through the worst. We already on our knees with these gas prices. Like, we done got so prone to it, we're making memes about it. You know, so
we do give the federal gas tax holiday. Is he's going to be doing that in order to cut gas prices down?
Look, gas down here is $4.56 here in Tennessee. He does that little thing. Yeah, I know up there. I know in LA it's like $7 almost. But look, if they do that, right? We're talking about the gas tax holiday. Gas is still going to be $4 here.
But it's bringing it down slowly but surely. It's better than the way.
Man, no, I'd rather get the. No, I'm using the MapCo. I'm using my little MapCo card. You know, when you go on the email and you type it in, they give me more of a percentage off than this gas tax thing they talking about. I get 19 cents a gallon now.
Now you can use it together. But let's get to some of these comments. Mike V said he spent $3 trillion to keep failing businesses afloat, talking about Trump, such as American Airlines, military contractors like Boeing and Lockheed. He did all that in 2020 alone. Real Brooklyn chimed in. I know you've been reading his comments all day. The world on a whole is intertwined with inflation in America. The economy we have is not without the world economy and all the adverse effects of the rise of the cost for goods. I agree with that. Willie Frazier said the pandemic wasn't predictable. At the same time, we had a president who completely ignored it, which, I mean, that's so true. Rashida, thank you so much again for chiming in. She said when Trump became president, that was it for credibility and it was gone. I'm going to have to, I think that we do in this country, especially when it comes to, you're right, being transparent. I think that there is a lack of transparency, but we can't say that that wasn't number one on the previous administration. They did not want transparency. They got rid of systems that actually gave you more transparency. So we cannot sit here and say that it's only the Biden administration that's also doing that. But I think this is also why maybe women are more, people are resonating more with women. We are starting to see that even in the Republican Party, women are the number one candidates. Now, I can still sing James Brown, it's a man's world, because politics is a man's world. But do you feel like women are better able to give us that level of transparency, or female candidates are better able to tap into what Americans are looking for these days?
At least that is a great segue. That was just so smooth. You know what I mean? All right. So check this. It's, hey, it's a good season for women. If I'm looking at it on a political and a business side, so to speak, it's a good it's a good era right now for the women, especially with the Roe v. Wade going on. From everything when we're talking about like sexual abuse or my body, my choice, and protect the Black woman, protect women, and all that. Like, I think it's going to work because, out of all this turmoil we've been going through here, especially in this last 3 to 4 years, it's like sometimes you just want to hear a woman's voice. It's almost like
voice.
No, I'm just being real. I'm just showing. Wait, hold on. I'm just trying to show you where people are. I feel like where they're coming from. It's like how one of them comedians said, like, can we just not have a president for 4 years? You know what I'm saying? Like, can we date around for a minute? Can we just be single for a moment and then we'll come back 4 years later and bring another president? I think with all this masculinity, all this is great, cool, rough, tough. We about to blow the house down, but like sometimes women add a different touch, a little sensitivity. Women are a little more emotional. They know how to speak to you. They know how to. They just know how to create that energy to make you listen, especially if they look like something. I'm just being real, like especially if they have some type of attraction to them, like your Candace Owens and all these other
Did you just
women that are coming out. Yeah, Candace Owens is very beautiful. She's beautiful. What do they got to do with her conservatism?
I think not getting into body image and what women look like.
But let's be real. You're looking at Fox News and all that. When you see women as anchors, the ratings go up. So, I mean, that's why I said I'm looking at it from a business and a political side. Yeah, I mean, women, a lot of people are resonating towards women because it's just the softer side. People do want to see something different. Women do have great perspectives. You feel what I'm saying? I'm not saying that they can't rule nothing or be in any type of leadership, but at this moment right now, it's probably good to hear a woman's voice that, hey, we're going to do this. We're going to make this happen. And a lot of the times, like, women don't have that chance to prove what they say, especially trying to be in higher offices and stuff. So, hey, why not make it happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm checking around myself, trying to learn what women are doing what. Let's see what's up.
I will say this. I don't think it's just hearing it from out of a woman's mouth and you just need it to be a little softer. I think that the reason why voters are resonating more with women because these are women's issues. You kind of hit on it. Like we're talking about now Roe versus Wade, the baby formula shortage, all of these things are impacting women directly. So women are the best communicators.
It's a perfect time to run for something, ladies. If we're looking at it on a business or political side, perfect time to run for something right now.
I think that, and I think women also tend to be more moderate. Now, one of the things that in the Republican Party, this actually is a downfall for women because they're seen as more moderate. So they tend to not, especially in this polarization where everybody's polarized. You have to be far left, far right in some of these places. But women tend to be listeners. They more in the middle. They kind of go, well, yeah, that makes sense, but this doesn't make sense. A lot of more female candidates tend to do that. And I think more voters are starting to hear that, not to mention that women, 50%, there are more of us. There are more women in general. So when you want to hear someone who has a lived experience like you, I think more and more women want to hear from women.
I can definitely agree. Like I said, there's no better time to be a woman right now. If you're doing anything, in activism, in your city council, anything like that, hey, just go for it. But be genuine with it. I mean, I do say take advantage of situations like this, but I don't make it be in vain. Like genuinely, be for the people, be for the country that where you're at here in America, but also take advantage of the opportunity. That's just what it is, So, hey, I'm on the lookout myself, to be honest, just to be real, man. So shout out to all the ladies out there that are running. Well, I don't care what side you on. I just hope that there's a common side. Please, Lord Jesus.
We just need good people. We need good people to run that have the American people at heart. But we have seen, like in DC, Miriam Bowser won, so she will be the Democrat there. We saw in Alabama, a Republican woman actually won over Mo Brooks. And in Virginia, these are actually 2 seats that the Democrats they're a little shaky for the Democrats. They actually are going to be going up against other women. So we're starting to see that in a lot of these cases, there are more female candidates. They have better campaigns, and we will see what happens in the long run.
Yeah.
But I am excited.
A crazy increase in women voters too, like especially since Obama, So yeah, what a time to be alive.
I I agree. It's an amazing time to be alive. I think more women should run, and we're seeing among women that they're the focus in a lot of campaigns, not even just on the Democrats. Republicans are starting to really try to go after women. But right now, I think that one of the things more Republican women have been elected to Congress than any other woman. I think the 117th Congress has 39 Republican women to the Democrat 101, I believe. So women are starting to run, and people are actually going after these candidates, and they are starting to resonate with them and see that females can also be leaders. And that is what I'm happy to see. Now, whether or not they are able to succeed in winning, we will see. But right now, women are doing it. They're definitely doing it.
And I also believe, I got to throw a sticker in there. It's probably going to change everybody's thing. Like, oh no, women. I think women can be. I think women can be leaders. But I also think that they can be leaders. You know what I'm saying? Side by side with men. I don't think a woman can completely do it all by herself. I don't think that there should be a cabinet full of women, like women as governors, like all that. Like, I don't think that can really balance out too well. You know what I'm saying? But like,
why not? We've had men do everything for years and years and years.
I understand, but I'm saying there needs to be like just a balance. That's all I'm saying. I don't think they can be all of anything, like all men, all women, because Lord have mercy. Woo! There needs to be a nice balance, but there needs to be a respect. Like men too. Men, I'm gonna speak to my men. Men, you also need to, be respectful that that women have a brain too. Women are highly intelligent too. They have great ideas. They're talented. They're skilled. A lot of times we have that ego amongst us, but like there's a reason why there's a man and a woman in the world. There's a reason why man is attached to woman. That's a whole nother thing. But like if we work together equally, I think we'll be dope. But yeah, so far as taking over. Equality has its limits too, though. I'm gonna say that. But
okay, and right there, we gonna say, you know what? We gonna go to trends, posts, and doing the most, because we're not gonna go over to mess with equality, and we're gonna talk about popular culture when we come back after this.
Love our new Alexa.
It's a Buick.
Yeah, Alexa.
Buick.
Alexa.
It's a Buick.
It's an Alexa.
It's a Buick.
It's an Alexa.
Coach, that's a Buick.
That's an Alexa.
The Buick Enclave with available Alexa built in.
Verizon just gave us all a brand new iPhone 13.
We've been customers for years. We got iPhone 13s too. Switched 2 minutes ago, literally right before this.
iPhone 13 on us on any unlimited plan for every customer, with plans starting at just $35. All on the network more people rely on.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jackie Hood Martin, and I have a question for you. Ever feel as if your life is teetering and the weight and pressure of the world is consistently on your shoulders? Well, let me tell you, living a balanced life isn't easy. Join me each Tuesday on Black Star Network for A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie. We'll laugh together, cry together, pull ourselves together, and cheer each other on. So join me for new shows each Tuesday on Black Star Network, A Balanced Life with Dr. Jackie.
How about sushi?
I just had sushi for lunch yesterday.
How about tacos?
Automatic emergency braking, one of 6 advanced safety features standard on every 2022 Chevy Equinox. Find new technology. Find new roads. Chevrolet.
All right, so we're going to talk about trends, posts, and doing the most. But would you want your chicken to have cannabis? Well, there is a farm in Thailand that actually has been using medical marijuana in order to use instead of antibiotics. And they're actually going to be charging more for this chicken, which they're saying is showing promises that they have less mortality rates in the chicken. Royce, do you want a Snoop Dogg chicken? Is that what you want? You want that?
Yo, okay. So I was looking at that, It's hard to know what to trust, man, and the stuff that they're putting in the food. You feel me? Now, I think that alternative that they were trying was like because of what they were already putting in some of the food and chicken. Now, when I first read it, I was thinking, I was like, all right. Instead of steroids, they're going to inject THC. So that means the chicken's going to be hungry at a time, which means you're going to feed them more and they fatten up. So they might be a little meaty. You know what I'm saying? But then, when you eat the chicken, it might be a little THC infused. I don't know how that digests when you get grinded up or however they do the chickens. You know what I mean? But
and that's the funny part. They don't really know yet, but they are studying this. It's at a college there in Thailand, and they're actually saying that it actually killed less birds, and I'm assuming because they probably were relaxed, so they weren't
they were chilling. I mean, think about it though. When you think about it, with THC, I ain't never heard anybody overdosing on THC. You know what I'm saying? Like most of these violent crimes, these people be on drugs or they in alcohol or something, drunk driving, right? So maybe they should call it chill chicken or something. I don't know.
I like that chill chicken. They can sell chill chicken. I'm not sure if that's chill chicken or not. But they're going to be charging more for it. So it will cost more money for you to get this chill chicken. And they're saying that they don't know if the chickens actually get high because they exhibit normal behavior. What would be an abnormal behavior for a chicken?
For a chicken, I guess not running around like their head cut off.
But I'm not sure, but that's interesting that they're saying that they're giving it to the chicken and they don't.
You eat it? Would you eat THC infused chicken?
I do. I may or may not eat THC infused food. So I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I would have to see what happens to the chicken because once you eat THC, it's like something totally different. So I
mean, when you eat THC, you it's definitely a redundant.
You don't want to fry that up for your kids either. And I'm like, wow, they real relaxed. They chill.
Hey, better than some of these prescriptions and stuff. I don't know. Take that Ritalin out and give them something a little more natural. I don't know. I'm not a fan of prescriptions anyway. So like, whatever. You know what? I'm actually intrigued. I'm intrigued, and I hope it comes by way of Tennessee. Come on down here to your local store. Let's see what this chicken's all about, man. It could be. They're trying. They're trying.
It could be the chicken. Like I said, we got a Snoop Dogg chicken coming. I don't know. Maybe he should brand with them. You know what I mean? He could be like a spokesperson.
It would sell. But then what about the states that don't that don't have THC legal? You can't sell this chicken here.
See, that's why we need to legalize them on the federal level. But Brother King, thank you, Brother King Lee, for checking in. He says better than a cokehead chicken. I agree.
Come on with it. Come on, Brother Lee.
I agree. That I would not eat. Okay, that one I would not eat. But here's another thing. We saw in Utah, like what would you do in order to protect your community from these rising sky high mortgage rates, payment rates, taxes? Would you go to actually vandalize a property? An angry local actually defaced a home. They were saying that the home is sold for $1 million, but it originally was $675. So what's happening is that these investors are coming in, they're buying up the houses and jacking up the prices. So they spray painted greedy flippers on the house.
You know what?
So
first, I gotta
get here in Utah. The person bought it, did a huge gut renovation. Like, it does not look like the same house, and they're now selling it, and it's under contract, and the neighbors are mad. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. Would you go that far to protect your community?
Hey, I applaud them for at first having having the balls to do that. I that's what being American is all about. You know what?
You gonna get locked up for that.
To make a point, hey, listen, you about to raise this property up and everything around. It's like there's a lot of people that can't afford these things. It's hard as heck to get an apartment now these days without being on a waiting list. And you might as well get a house because it's almost as much as a mortgage. You saw some of that stuff in New York. They're selling it's a 55 square foot room with no bathroom in there, and it's for $1,500 a month. How dare you? Yeah, a lot of people can't afford stuff like that. So first, I give props for them for doing that. That's, hey, you got that freedom to do that. You expressing your rights and how you feel about it. And I think they're absolutely right. I'm not talking about for the actions of it now. It's, I give you props for it. You got more balls than I would. But I understand like the frustration, like the anger, like y'all making this hard enough already. You gonna double? No, that's more than double. What did it raise up to? 1.6?
Yeah, 1.6 million.
Yeah, double and a half, all that. Like, you raised all that up, and now you're not even considering the people that live around in that area, what that's going to do for them. It's almost like gentrification. Gonna make them. They're gonna eventually they're gonna have to move out, go to an area that's less affordable. You feel me? So what would I do? There was this thing on social media where people were just firing rifles in the sky to keep them taxes down, keep that appraisal down.
Yeah, because the taxes are going to be crazy. They will make equity in the homes, but the taxes will be crazy.
Yeah,
and they do have a housing crisis in Utah where people can't afford homes, and they also have a rising homelessness issue. So I guess they felt like they didn't have anything else to do on their hands. Rural Brooklyn says nothing wrong with making money on someone else's behalf.
Ooh, I'm gonna tell you, a real Brooklyn. Okay, now you going a little far right. Hold on, bro. Now look. I don't want to say bro, because I don't know if but I'm gonna say Brooklyn. Yeah, nothing wrong making money on someone else's behalf. Okay, but like, are you thinking about the people that live around that area, what it's doing to them? That just sounds greedy, and it sounds like you're monopolizing. That's not cool. That's not cool. Everybody deserves a right to have a place to live if they have the opportunity.
You better be careful. You sound like a Democrat. Let's go over here to
I
Dave
sound like
Chappelle.
common sense.
Dave Chappelle is actually back in the news again. I just actually went to go see his comedy special. And one of the things he did not mention was the fact that he purchased 19 acres of 52 acres of land in Yellow Springs, Ohio, following a rant that he had at the town hall where he said he was going to pull out all of his business if they made a subdivision in his community. He did not want them to put houses there. How do you feel about that? Was Dave wrong for trying to stop? I don't know if it's a lower income, because people are saying lower income, or if these are just more affordable houses.
I know. I mean, first he has that right to do that, because keep it real, white people do that to us all the time. They call it litigations. You know what I'm saying? Dave Chappelle had the money to do that, and really, we don't know the undertone of that. Like, because him being a local, he really loves his area in Ohio. Like, he walks around the town.
Wait a minute, he grew up in Silver Spring. His daddy from there.
I know. I'm saying he's really close to home. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know how some celebrities are attached from their home, like they live off in LA, but no, like, he's really about his home. People know him there, so I'm pretty sure he knows what's going on as far as that particular company wanting that land for, like, who knows what the subdivisions may be for. You know what I'm saying? It could make it not as affordable for the people that are already in his community or whatnot. Who knows? But like, I think he made a smart move to be like, all right, we're gonna play the game here. I'm gonna buy this bit of land with about 20 acres that he bought or whatnot. Yeah, he got every right to do that, to be honest with you, because we really don't know the reason why they wanted all that land in the first place, and he could be saving his community a problem at the end. Like,
it's a subdivision. It was for houses, so they were going to be building houses on this 52 acres of land. It sounds like he just didn't want the houses that close to his property or close to his community, which honestly, we don't know what the houses, if this is a low income house, which I was heard that there were more affordable houses. So I don't know if he was concerned about his property value, but my issue is this: you can feel the way you feel about your community. However, when it comes to you saying that you're an advocate for Black people and an advocate for the average Joe, you can't be out here doing this either. That's all I'm saying. It just seems a little hypocritical when we're looking at it. But I want to thank you, Royce, for coming into the culture, and thank you for being so good. Like Farajii was saying, so good for the culture. We appreciate you being here. And he is Royce's Rant of the Royce's Rants podcast. Where can people actually listen and hear more from you?
Actually, yeah, just like you said, you can actually Google that. It's Royce's Rant, ROYCESRANT. So like, I'm on YouTube. I dump a lot of my my live podcasts on YouTube, but the home of it is on Facebook. So it's Royce's Rant on there too. All of them have equal amount of shows in there. I just haven't spread out on each social media platform. I speak anything social, political, taboo issues. I have guests on. We just have a good time. You know, right now I'm at a hiatus reconstructing for the 6th season. But like I said, it's always good to connect with Miss Lee. So I appreciate her reaching out. Thank you to the culture. Thank you to Roland Martin. He's a frat brother of mine anyway. He don't know me, but you know now. But shout out, you know, to this whole platform right here. Lise, thank you. You've been great, man. It's always good connecting with you. And to all the audience out there, whether good, bad, or ugly, I love you all. Let's have common sense and let's just be common Americans, man. And I'm good.
All right. Well, we appreciate you. You can come back. I'm pretty sure Farajii would love to talk to you. So I'm pretty sure we will see you back at some point. Well, I want to thank you all for tuning in for The Culture today and getting some information about how Black women have been the biggest impacted or affected by the student loan debt crisis, as well as how women and voters are resonating with women. We will be back again tomorrow. Farajii is on vacation. However, he will be back. So make sure you tune in for The Culture each and every day at 3 p.m. and be amazing, everyone. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for tuning in.
iPhone 13 on us for every customer. Current, new, everyone. To show the love.
How about sushi?
I just had sushi for lunch yesterday.
How about tacos?
Automatic emergency braking, one of 6 advanced safety features standard on every 2022 Chevy Equinox. Find new technology. Find new roads. Chevrolet.